This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast designed and produced specifically for Florida small business owners and entrepreneurs. Small Biz Florida, talk that works for Florida. This podcast is supported by the Florida SBDC Network, providing the tools, strategies, and expertise to help Florida's business community thrive. Visit the Florida SBDC online at www.floridasbdc.org or contact your local office and get started on your path to success today.
This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast. It's all things business across the state of Florida. I am Tom Kindred, your host for Small Biz Florida. We come to you from Indian River State College and the Small Business Development Center here at the college. Today's segment is updating us on all that's going on in terms of hurricane recovery after Ian struck the West Coast. We've got a lot of folks from SBA, FEMA, and SBDC on the West Coast helping small business owners get back to business and recover as best they can. We're also going to touch on a little bit, just a quick update as to maybe where we are on the East Coast after Nicole passed through the area. So to help us with all this and answer questions from the SBA, we've got our very good friend, Mr. Jack Camp. Jack, welcome sort of back to Small Biz Florida. You and I go back a ways. You were in our marketplace many years ago for the blue-green algae, I think, issue. And of course, I think you and I worked together pretty closely following Irma. So again, thank you for all you do, Jack. And again, welcome to Small Biz Florida.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be back here as always. This is one of my favorite parts of Florida. It was great to be here for the launch a couple of days ago. It's really cool.
Nice. So Jack, let's get started as we always do. Just a little bit of a quick background from you on yourself, kind of your pathway to the SBA.
Yeah, well, I have been with the Small Business Administration for many years. I come from the banking industry, and I started back actually in the mid-'80s. And I took a few years off, but I've been doing this nonstop as a public affairs since 2006.
Nice. Well, again, we appreciate your work. We appreciate your expertise and sharing that with the small business community. And we certainly appreciate currently what you're doing to help small business owners recover from Ian on the West Coast. And we'll talk a little bit about Nicole. So let's get right into it. We want to talk about, I guess, start us with what are you hearing from your folks on the ground on the West Coast? A lot of engagement with small business owners, a lot of applications for EIDLs. What are you hearing?
Well, yes, the damage over there and throughout central and northern Florida is pretty severe. And we've been working with a lot of businesses. We've made over 550 loans so far for over $43 million to businesses. Of course, we help homeowners too. The total we've made over $865 million in loans, closing on $1 billion. But I want to concentrate on the businesses today.
Yeah. Talk to us about the actual product, the EIDL. We refer to it as the EIDL. It stands for Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Just give us the broad view of what is that loan, how does it work, and how does it get in the hands of small business owners?
Well, these are working capital loans that are available to small businesses and most private nonprofit organizations. The terms on the loans are just a little over 3% for up to 30 years. The loans are intended to pay ordinary and necessary operating expenses that a business can't pay as a result of the disaster, but would have been able to pay had the disaster not occurred. And they're easy to apply for. You just go to disasterloanassistance.sba.gov and take it from there.
Nice. All right. And a business owner can use those funds to address damage to facilities, working capital, refill the coolers? What exactly can they use that loan for?
Okay, well, it's not for damages,
Okay.
and it's not dependent on damages. You don't have to have damages to apply for the loan, but I mean, you can if you do.
Right. You don't have to have physical damage.
That's correct.
Okay.
You have economic damage,
right,
and you can use it to pay the bills that you can't pay as a direct result of the disaster. So, whereas you wouldn't be able to replace your product that was in the cooler that was destroyed, you could pay the bills that you had outstanding as a result of it.
Obviously, the business may have been closed for a number of days, possibly weeks. So you're generating expenses, but you're not generating revenue to cover those expenses, and that's really where the EIDL loan comes into play.
That's right. It's to keep the lights on, pay the insurance, pay your mortgage payments or rent payments, whatever bills you've got, so that pay your employees, so that when conditions return to normal, you'll be able to resume normal operations.
And you mentioned the interest rate. I mean, these are very advantageous, helpful loans. These aren't creating a new burden on the business who's already dealing with a disaster. I mean, these are very easy to deal with loans. Is that a fair statement regarding the EIDL?
Well, yeah, it is relatively, fair statement. I mean, they are loans; they have to be repaid. But when you look at interest rates today, with mortgage rates hovering around 7%, and here you have money that's available at 3% or just over 3%, that's a real good deal.
Okay.
And that's fixed for the life of the loan. So.
Okay. And is there a deadline? I believe I got an email the other day that talked about some deadlines on loans. Is there a deadline on the EIDL and for those affected by Ian?
Yes, there is. The deadline is June the 28th, 2023. So we give people 9 months from the declaration date to apply for the loan. You basically still have over 7 months to apply for one of these loans. The physical deadline right now is November the 28th. So if you're in a declared county, one of the 26 declared counties by FEMA, and you have physical damage, you have until November the 28th to apply. But if you're just looking for economic injury, then yes, you've got several more months.
Okay. All right. And again, you mentioned 26 primary counties. So there's obviously a lot of counties covered. So folks need to, is there a website they can go to see exactly, is there a map of the counties where the EIDL is available on the West Coast and Central Florida?
Well, if you go to SBA.gov, they do have information on the disaster area, but the loans for economic injury are available throughout the peninsula, up almost to Jacksonville, actually.
Okay. All right.
And then coming back diagonally toward Tampa.
Okay. And so let's switch to the East Coast real quickly and talk about Nicole. And again, it kind of gives us an understanding of how it all works with Ian, but what are the steps? Where are the East Coast counties in this process now? In regards to some loans opening up for potential economic injury on the East Coast.
Well, for Nicole, due to the severity of the storm, it's a different process. Hurricane Ian was approved by the president. The governor requested it, and the president approved it under an expedited authority. Nicole is going to go through the normal process, and that process is that governor requests a physical damage assessment, which is called a PDA, and the SBA goes out with FEMA to look at the damage. They're looking at the 3 or 4 counties now, from Brevard, Volusia, Flagler, and I forget if there's what the 4th one would be, but that's
Right.
the basic
Okay.
area.
Okay.
And we'll see how that comes out. Now, if those counties are approved, economic injury loans will be approved in whichever counties FEMA declares, plus any adjacent county.
Okay.
If it doesn't qualify for a FEMA declaration, the governor depending on what we find in our survey, the governor would have the choice to come to SBA and ask for a declaration.
Okay. All right. And for an EIDL loan, business does not have to visit a bank. This can all be done by the business owner online.
That's correct. Just go to disasterloanassistance.sba.gov. You can apply. If you have issues there, you can call us on our 800 line, 1-800-659-2955. Plus, we have centers located throughout the state.
Right.
FEMA has opened up, as of now, 36 disaster recovery centers. And in addition, SBA has 6 business recovery centers where you can get assistance. SBA personnel are available at any FEMA center, plus the SBA centers.
Wow. So a total of 42 centers have been opened throughout kind of the central and the west coast of Florida.
Yes, sir.
All right. And we refer to those as BRCs, Business Recovery Centers. And then, of course, FEMA has their centers too for the homeowner type support. Awful lot of support down there. And again, we appreciate that from the SBA. I know that we partner with the SBA and FEMA through the SBDCs. So some of those centers may be at college campuses of some sort. I know that the SBDC has their 3 mobile assistance centers deployed on the West Coast. So absolutely an awful lot of, a number of ways for an individual to get hands-on, face-to-face support in applying for these assistance programs.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess at this point, we're in a wait and see what happens on the East Coast. You are in full operations and full support, lots of boots on the ground, so to speak, on the West Coast. You mentioned over 800 some odd loans that you have closed on the West Coast, almost knocking on the door of $1 billion, I think is what you said.
For the loans in total. Yeah, over $865 million worth of loans, and this includes the home loans, about over 12,400 of them.
Being a native of Florida myself, I have been through a number of hurricanes dating all the way back to David, sometime in the 70s. I'm getting to the point I can't even remember that far back, but I spent 25 years in private enterprise. I owned a small business. I was in that business through a couple of storms, the big 04 storms. And, I got to tell you, Jack, I never knew about these resources. I never knew about them. I never understood the availability of these resources. And again, one of the main reasons we created this Small Biz Florida podcast platform was I recognized as a former business owner, people need to know about these programs. These are incredibly powerful and valuable programs. I think the statistic is that 40% of businesses that close after a disaster don't reopen. So it is critical to get cash in the hands of business owners quickly after a disaster so they can quickly reopen. And not just for the business, but even for the community, because the community needs those businesses. They need the supplies that the business provides. So I cannot thank you enough, Jack, for being part of the team that's been deployed in Florida to help support our small business community after the two most recent hurricanes.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. And you are right. This is, something that you live with in Florida. And, I couldn't be here without putting in a plug also for not just the recovery resources, but for business preparedness. Of course, personal preparedness. We have to take care of ourselves. There is a lot of information that is available to help people come up with a preparedness plan at ready.gov, which is FEMA's website. SBA.gov has preparedness information for businesses. The Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety has a great website. In fact, on their website, they have a free off-the-shelf plan that a business can download to put together a very comprehensive preparedness plan.
Excellent point, Jack. Excellent point. Yes. Being prepared. And again, if you're a business owner in the state of Florida, this should be part of your standard operating procedure to have a plan and update it each and every year prior to hurricane season. And just because, again, it could be the difference between that getting reopened quickly and beginning to generate revenue quickly. So, again, excellent point, and lots of great resources as you pointed out. So, Jack, stay safe. And again, we just can't thank you enough, and the team at SBA and FEMA, and of course our partners across the state with other SBDC centers. I know that my counterpart Dorian, who's the regional director at Florida Gulf Coast University, and the folks at the USF Center, everybody's putting in a lot of time and a lot of hours. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate the partnership.
Thank you. And just, in closing, disasterloanassistance.sba.gov, 1-800-659-2955.
Excellent. Jack, thank you. Great to see you again. Listen, next time, let's not wait for a hurricane. Just come down and we'll do something fun. So we do appreciate your presence down here in Florida now. Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, thank you, Tom.
And that'll do it for this segment of Small Biz Florida. Hopefully these updates on business assistance and resource and lending programs are helpful. We got an awful lot of businesses that have been negatively affected by two recent storms, pretty severe on the West Coast. So hopefully we will continue to keep you updated with valuable information that helps small business owners return to business. So with that, we'll bring to close this segment of Small Biz Florida, and we'll talk to you next time.
This has been Small Biz Florida, created and produced by the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Your host for Small Biz Florida is Tom Kindred. Partners for Small Biz Florida include WPSL and WSTU and Indian River State College, named the 2019 winner of the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence.